How's it going, everybody? It's your boy. And guess what? I've got the most craziest article that you've ever seen in your life. And that's not clickbait. Now you see, you'd think, doing this for 3 years nearly, that I've seen pretty much everything that there is to see when it comes to stuff on the internet, and especially crazy shit. But you'd be wrong, because human beings have an infinite capacity for crazy, and an infinite capacity for things that just make your mind boggle. And this article is really no exception. And I wish this was satire. I really do, but I don't think it is. Nobody said that it's a Poe. You know what it's like these days. People write into these news outlets and go, oh hey, I've got a really good article that you're going to like. And then it turns out that, well, the guy was a Poe all along. Well, this doesn't seem to be a Poe. Hopefully it is. But I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and say it's real. And this is an article entitled, I cheated on my boyfriend with my rapist. With the subtitle, by seducing my assaulter, I was reclaiming the control I'd lost over my body and identity. Because nothing spells sanity like going back to the person who raped you and then sleeping with them, cheating on your boyfriend. I don't know how that's reclaiming something that was never there anyway, but I don't understand how that's reclaiming control when that control can never be regained because the past cannot be rectified in that way, but whatever. I think the only thing that's going to be losing control now is her relationship, unless the guy's a soy boy, but hopefully he isn't. I would dump my girlfriend over this if she did this to me. I don't care about whatever's going on in the background. But anyway, to the article. Everything was black until it wasn't. Coming to felt like swimming up from the depths of a murky pond. When I reached the surface, I found the reality scarier than the darkness. I was on my stomach, on an air mattress on the dorm room floor. A man crushed me from above, thrusting into me roughly from behind, with a blurry glimpse over my shoulder. I registered the face of a close friend's brother. My leaden brain, slowly grinding back to full consciousness, struggled to push away unwanted questions. How did I get here? Did I say yes to this? Okay, so immediately she's putting doubts to the veracity of whether or not she was raped, because even she didn't know. Brilliant. Grey areas. Just what I need. I did my best to piece the fractured night together like a shard of glass. The last thing I remembered was arriving at a beach-themed frat party with my roommate, who had primed me with several shots during our pre-game and convinced me to forego a shirt for a bikini top. Evidently, other friends noticed that I was dangerously drunk, and one deposited me in the common room of her dorm suite to sleep it off, along with her brother, who was visiting that weekend. I'll never forget my roommate's blasé response when I told her that I'd come to during intercourse with a relative stranger. So you had your first one-night stand? Don't you feel cooler? I felt numb, but I seized her words like a life raft that would float me to a less intolerable outcome. This is so weird. Either she was asleep and he was on top of her, which seems very likely, or she was blacked out, woke up in a blackout. I don't know if that's even possible. I'm assuming it is. I've been blacked out many times before in the past, and then ended up having sex with him. Also, why the hell was he in the room? Was he blacked out too? Was he too drunk? Why would you put two people in the same room? Anything could happen. This seems like a really bad case of responsibility on the behalf of her friend. Usually, when you go to a party and somebody's dangerously drunk like she claims she was, you don't put her in a room with another person. That's just asking for trouble. But you know what? I can hear you saying, Mitch, you're overthinking this. Move on. And you're right. Let's move on. In an attempt to shake off the surreal, creeping dread, I told myself things like, those shots are a bad idea, but I needed to blow off steam. And I've only slept with 2 boyfriends before. Maybe I really was due for a one-night stand. And besides, what 21-year-old college girl hasn't had a night like this? Quite a lot, I guess. Quite a lot of college men, too. I don't know. You're not really describing this as rape yet. This doesn't strike me as the usual case. This is a very grey area matter. But I didn't say any of that to my friends, family or therapist, for fear someone would question my interpretation of what happened. Well, you're going to deal with things like that. People will ask you questions to get to the bottom of things. Like, maybe they just want to make sure that you're telling the truth, because that's a serious accusation to make. I told close girlfriends the bare minimum, letting them assume the encounter was consensual. I retained so few memories that it was surprisingly easy to let the whole incident recede from my mind. I started dating someone new. I graduated. I got a job. So you don't even know if it was consensual or not, and you're telling everybody else that it is. So are you lying, or are you just telling them this is what you think it is? Because it sounds to me like you're deceiving them, at least in hindsight. And that's not good. That's really bad. If you were raped, you should be going straight to the police. This is not the actions of a victim. Or at least a victim that knows what she's doing. But, I don't know, look, some people report them, some people don't. I will concede that. When my college friends planned to reunite and go dancing a few months, after we'd moved off campus, most of us back in our parents' suburban homes, I was excited. I didn't think twice about the invitation to join one friend's family for dinner beforehand, even though it meant seeing her brother, the one with whom I shared a disturbing history. My denial was so strong, so effective, that I could sit a few feet away from him, like it was no big deal, laughing, chatting, eating lasagna. Why did you go there? If you knew he was there, if you think he raped you, that's what you're saying now, in hindsight, which makes me wonder if this is one of those cases where you withdrew consent after the fact. Why are you going there? If you know that this guy did this to you and you're really, traumatized about it. Why? Why are you doing this? This is not the actions of a rape victim. I'm seeing the writings on the wall here. Keep it together. After dinner, it became clear that the brother would be joining us at the bar, and strangely, I started to escalate my small talk to flirtation. Yeah, strangely, right. You just happened to do it and you didn't know why. Right. This makes me question the veracity of your claims. Really now? Really? You're flirting with your rapist and you have a boyfriend? I think we're dealing with something that begins with a T, but I'm going to refrain from judgment because that's a bad thing to do. It was like shifting into an autopilot mode I didn't know existed. Without a clear thought or strategy, I drank enough to soften my focus and banish my inhibitions, but not so much that I lost control. I knew where I was and how I got to safety. I could pinpoint my friends on the dance floor, the better to dodge them as I moved closer and closer to my assailant. Eventually, I suggested we go back to his apartment. Yes, this is how you regain control, by asking a person to go to his apartment for a little bit of hanky-panky. Yeah, you're definitely not that thing that begins with a T. You're definitely a victim. Oddly, being back in bed with him didn't scare me. We rolled around, made out in the bottom half of a bunk bed. It was all very PG-13, the way I might have behaved with a high school crush. He didn't push for more. I didn't offer. I woke to find 3 friends rousing on his grungy couch and shooting me confused looks. They were friendly with my pretty serious boyfriend. Yeah, they're wondering, what are you doing with another man when it's known that you have a significant other? It's like you walked in there and you're like, oh, why is everybody so confused? I'm just with this guy that I'm trying to sleep with because I may or may not have been raped. Kill me. I knew I should be ashamed and frankly worried that my boyfriend, who I'd been with for a year and would go on to date for another 3, would find out. But I was neither. Instead, I felt like I scratched a hard-to-reach itch. Cheating wasn't something I took lightly, but whatever deep-seated need I'd satisfied that night was more important than fidelity. An obscure yet palpable sense of relief drove away any hint of guilt before it could take hold. So you're not even remorseful? Yeah. You see, if I was raped and I did what you did, I would feel remorseful. There's just no way that I could feel, oh, I did this for the greater good. I did this for me. This is so narcissistic. This is the actions of a narcissistic slag, not a rape victim. I've never known of any case like this in my life. And I've known people who've been raped. I just... What? Counterintuitive as it may seem, my impulse to initiate a second encounter with my attacker more than a year after the original incident makes sense to experts on sexual assault. Attempting to master a situation in which you previously did not have control is one way a lot of assault victims respond, says Jim Hopper, PhD, teaching associate in psychology at Harvard Medical School and a nationally recognised expert on sexual assault and trauma. Yeah, but I don't think sexual assault victims go out of their way to seduce their rapists. I think a way to get control over these people is to get them arrested. I think that's what he means. I don't think he means going out and having sex with them. Like going out of your way to do that. You did not act on an impulse. This to me was you purposefully lowering your inhibitions, even though you were already flirting with the man and already knew he was going to appear at that family function that you were invited to, in order to have sex with him. Because it seems to me that there's a little bit more than you're letting on. I don't think that night you were as drunk as you claimed you were. But then again, I don't know, maybe you were. It's just so convenient that you were blacked out. Looking back, I see the logic. Why wouldn't I want to reclaim the narrative of rewriting my story with a different ending? One in which I reversed the dynamic with someone who'd previously robbed me of all power. The motivation is usually trying to gain some sense of authority, either over a sex scenario or even how the perpetrator sees you, i.e. not someone they can do whatever they want to, explains Hopper. It can also be a way to manage your perception of yourself by painting a different picture of what happened. Because who wants to think of themselves as a rape victim? I don't know. A person who wants to bring the person to justice, to come to terms with their trauma. I'm going to question this guy's theory. Is this guy actually taken seriously? I know he works at Harvard, but so do bloody theologians. And nobody takes them serious on God, apart from other people who believe in God. Like, come on. They believe in invisible sky daddies. This guy thinks, from what she's quoting, she might be misquoting him in an effort to basically say that what I did was right, and say that, yeah, they want to take control by seducing their rapists. Right. If anything, it seems to me that he has his claws in you, because why would you go crawling back to him? That's not how that works. I mean, if you shot him, that would be bringing control and authority over him. That would be logical. But not having sex with him, that seems to me like he has his claws in you. It took me until age 29, 8 years after the assault, to even consider that the term rape victim might apply to me. When I told my fiancé and therapist the story about a year ago, they were both quick to call it rape. For so long I evaded the truth so that I could avoid becoming a statistic. 70% of rapes are committed by someone known to the victim. Up to 25% of women will experience rape during college. More than half of these co-eds won't tell anyone about it. Yeah, the 1 in 4 statistic has been debunked. I don't need to go through that. And this is really beginning to grate on me. I'm beginning to lose my grip on life. But this is the thing, you told your fiancé about the so-called rape, but it's pretty clear that what you've written in this is not what you told him. I think you told him a lie. Does he know that you went back? One reason people push away or block out these experiences is because of the implications for their identity, which are bigger than the pain of remembering or recognising what happened, Hopper tells me. It was easier for me to cling to the idea of being a cool, sexually evolved college student than it was to face the excruciating truth that there was no way I consented in my blacked out state. Well, you could have said yes. You could have said that. Just because you're blacked out doesn't mean that you can't speak to this person, no matter how slurred or horrible it might be. I've talked to people and flirted to people while blacked out drunk and had no idea and ended up making friends with them. That actually happened once, by the way. And when I went back to that same place a week later, they were like, oh, hey, it's you. We talked about science. I don't remember that shit. But apparently I did. If I could talk about science and flirt with people while I was blacked out, then you can say yes to something. Even though you have no control over yourself, you did technically do it. Even though I would not consider that consent in the usual sense. I actually do think, in that case, he should have left you alone, because it's pretty clear that you were really drunk and should have left you alone. But you kind of may have. That could have been the case. And that's how you kind of described it at the beginning. But then again, I don't know. But it's not beyond the realms of impossibility, that's what I'm saying. By seducing my rapist, I extended the shelf life of my denial. Whenever my mind flashed back to that terrifying night in the dorm, the bitter recollection was diffused by a newer, more palatable memory. My brain used a vivid evening of dancing and flirting to overwrite one of the darkest experiences in my life, and to replace one damaging label, rape victim, with another, one less distressing one. Cheater. Of 2 grim options, the latter was more acceptable. For a while at least. Right, that's it. I'm fucking done. I'm taking poison. Well, it appears that the poison didn't work. So I've now got to read the last paragraph. 10 years after my rape, I can finally call it by its name. I'm grateful to people like Hopper, who are dedicated to helping people understand that recovering from sexual assault is a long, thorny process. Rarely does the narrative unfold linearly, with police reports, justice, and a clear path to healing. I now understand that there were complex survival instincts at play, and I chose to climb back into my bed with my rapist. It's time we stopped being surprised that the primitive, unnatural act of rape can trigger equally primitive, unnatural responses in its victims. Rape is a natural act. Like war. Like fighting. Like love. Like... How is it unnatural? It's not unnatural. That doesn't mean that it's good. That means it's horrible. Like all the other things I mentioned, apart from the good ones. War's horrible, but that's a natural phenomenon. Even animals go to war. I mean, not to the extent that we do, but chimpanzees will fight other tribes of chimpanzees. And what you did, however, I don't know, that doesn't strike me as natural, actually. That strikes me as a very Let me just say, it seems like you're just making excuses for some flirtatious, thoughty behaviour. So what do I make of this? Well, she describes it, I assume, telling the truth, that she didn't actually know, and only years later does she say it's rape. Only after she had to tell her fiancé that. And now, I assume he knows. So the guy's a soy boy, he's a cook. He got cooked by some guy that she fucked well before she even met him. I think it's pretty clear that we're dealing with somebody who just isn't in any way suitable for monogamous relationships. That's what I'm seeing here, if this is true. I don't know if you were raped. You didn't go to the police. You should have gone straight to the police. But then again, you claim you don't know. You claim that you didn't have any idea until 8 years later. And I know the blackout makes it even harder to discern. And you don't have a full memory of it. But the fact that you went back to him just raises red flags. Honestly, guys, I feel the more I talk about this, the more I feel dirty inside. I feel like I'm actually sounding like a rape apologist, even though I'm not. I'm just very highly sceptical of what this woman is. I just don't believe this. How can somebody do this? Men and women, I've known them. They don't do this. This is the first time I've ever heard of this. And what that guy was talking about may not necessarily be what she's referring to. I think she's just trying to make excuses for being a thought. Now, if it turns out that you were raped, well then my condolences to you. Nobody deserves that. But this is not the right way to deal with that. You need actual therapy. This is not therapy. This will only make you feel... This shouldn't make you feel worse. You cheated on your boyfriend, your fiancé, your husband, I assume, who somehow took you back. I would have abandoned you for that. That is unacceptable. I mean, there's cheating and then there's this, if it happened. And it's pretty clear that you did not regain any control. From what it sounds like to me, that guy had his claws in you and you were never met twice. That's crazy. But anyway, guys, what do you think? Real? Fake? Is she telling the truth about this or is she not? I don't know. I feel dirty. I'm gonna go. Links to all the stuff down below. It's been your boy, and I'll see you later.